In the northeastern United States is a land of incredible natural beauty and unexplained formations.
You can hear they're all different.
Where cutting-edge science is transforming how cities deal with environmental challenges.
We can actually transmit the data wirelessly via cellular networks to a server.
And providing sustainable solutions for agriculture.
After they get to the size of about a dime, they usually double in size in 24 hours.
Join me, Philippe, as we explore Pennsylvania here on Xploration Awesome Planet. Welcome to Awesome Planet. Now, the state of Pennsylvania is perhaps best known for its famous cities, historic landmarks, and well-known industries. But in the far southwestern corner of the state, beneath the rolling slopes of the Appalachian Mountains, lies an entire world just waiting to be explored.
So, Rick, tell me about where we are and what we're doing.
We're at Laurel Caverns. This is Pennsylvania's largest commercial cave. We have about 3 miles of passages here, and we're going to do a little rappelling and go down to the unlit sections.
Excellent.
We'll get ourselves into seatbelt harnesses. Since you've done this before, you know how this works.
Rappelling is when you descend a near vertical incline. Now, even though I've done it before, it never hurts to have a quick refresher.
What I do is I'll take a bite of rope, and I'll put it up through this center loop of the figure 8 and over the back end, and then it gets attached to the harness. And we'll lock it down, and we're going to flip that lock over so it's out of the way. And you can take the rope right here in your hand, and you're going to put it back on your backside.
Now, you notice that the rope passes through when it's straight up and down, but then if I turn it, the rope doesn't pass, and I can just hang there. Now, you have a anchor line here.
Yeah, this is our belay line, or our safety line. When we're going off the cliff, we always attach this to the harness.
This looks like a pretty good setup.
We're all ready to go. We'll get down there.
Great.
Rick and Ryan are taking me to a part of the cave that has a 37-foot cliff. To get there, we first have to pass through areas that have been modified for commercial tourism.
Now, we fixed all the floors now, so we got the stairs and the railing and the lights. We put all the colored lights in because we do a lot of school groups here, and the children love the colored light. It makes the cave look beautiful as well.
But long before these lights and handrails were installed, the cave was a magnet for curious travelers in search of adventure.
The Native Americans used Laurel Caverns for centuries. The first white men came into the cave right around 1776, and people have been coming in it ever since. This is the lowest point on our tour, so these are the last lights in the cave. From this point down, it's all unlit.
Picking our way through the unlit portions makes me wonder what it must have been like for the first explorers who set foot here. I can only imagine the nervous anxiety of not knowing where each blind turn may lead, or the exciting thrill of finding a narrow passage that suddenly opens into a massive chamber.
Philippe, this is the ballroom. This is the largest room in the cave. 35 to 40-foot ceilings, and above our heads, you'll see these limestone formations called chandeliers.
In the 1800s, it was a common practice to name the different chambers in a cave after the rooms in a house. The ballroom clearly gets its name from its enormous size.
Right now, we're down about 30 stories.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So 300 feet.
300 feet.
But tell me a little bit more about the geology of this cave system.
Our cave is made out of limestone, which is a sedimentary rock. 300 million years ago, this was a shallow sea called the Mississippian Sea. In that sea, the animal life was dying and the bones were falling to the bottom of the sea. They mixed with the sand, and over time, they were compressed into rock.
Into this incredibly hard rock.
Yeah, about 300,000-ton crush, super strong rock.
300,000-ton crush means it takes 300,000 tons of pressure to break it. But in the face of massive geological processes, even rock of this strength doesn't stand a chance.
About 290 million years ago, 2 tectonic plates collided, and when they did, they pushed up and created the Appalachian Mountains.
This geological collision created stress fractures, which allowed rainwater to seep down into the rocks. When the water met the limestone, a chemical reaction took place that caused the remains of the animals to dissolve, leaving the loose sand behind.
And then over thousands and thousands of years, more water comes through that joint line, and grain by grain, that sand is washed away, leaving an opening, and that's our cave.
Incredible.
So it's a pretty simple process overall.
But it's remarkable.
Not far from the ballroom is the cliff where I'm going to rappel.
Now, this is essentially a demonstration of the types of tools and techniques that you would use to explore wild caves.
Oh, absolutely. This is obviously our setup for our rappelling program that we do inside the cave.
Ryan sets the belay line, and when I'm ready, I give the signal.
Blaze on?
Blaze on.
All right. That's just one example of what is likely countless cave systems in the Appalachian Mountain chain. And thanks to centuries of explorers armed with nothing more than a sense of adventure and some basic equipment, we're able to come down to places like this and enjoy them ourselves and peer back into the geological history of our Earth. It's a pretty cool place. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, coal and steel have deep-rooted history. At Carnegie Mellon University, researchers have found innovative ways to quantify the negative impacts on our health and the environment from some of the byproducts of these industries.
This is one of our air quality labs here, who are all studying atmospheric chemistry and air quality, doing experiments, doing modeling. In the last couple of years, we've been working on these low-cost sensors.
Subu is a research scientist at the university's Center for Atmospheric Particle Studies. Through a partnership with a local Pittsburgh startup called Sensever, he's helped develop a system that can monitor air quality on a hyper-localized level.
So air quality can vary that much within a few miles? I don't think people recognize that.
It does. So you may have bus stops where you have diesel buses idling. You may have restaurants, and it smells so good, but that's actually some vapors coming out. So you have local hotspots that happen, like a traffic jam.
To assess air quality, the Environmental Protection Agency currently monitors 6 pollutants that are known to damage human health and the environment.
These are carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ozone, lead, and PM 2.5, or fine particulate matter.
PM 2.5 refers to tiny, inhalable particles that are produced during combustion and certain industrial processes. They're considered extremely dangerous because studies have closely linked them to severe health problems like heart and lung disease.
While traditionally there is a network of air quality monitors that is deployed by the EPA, these air quality monitors are over $100,000 worth of sensors.
Wow.
And within Pittsburgh, there are 2 or 3.
Only 2 or 3 in the entire city of Pittsburgh. So it's not giving a lot of coverage.
Right. And it's not giving you hyper-local air quality. It's not giving a neighborhood-scale air quality.
What makes then this sensor so different from the existing network?
This package measures 5 gases, and along with the other sensor measures PM 2.5. It does all of this at a cost of about $5,000.
This system can measure all of the EPA standards except lead. But at a fraction of the cost, it can be deployed in a lot more locations.
So Naomi, this is the sensor that you put in the field.
Yes, well, one iteration of it, yeah.
So can you walk me through how it works?
We have different components. We have a particle component and a gas component.
The particle component measures the PM 2.5, and the gas sensors are housed in the main box.
And these are the 5 sensors here. There's different configurations depending on what we're trying to measure. Up top, we have a large battery pack. If you take out the PM 2.5 monitor, they can be deployed just based on battery power, which enables us to take them to remote places.
The system connects to cellular networks so the data can be transmitted wirelessly.
If something goes wrong, the data is always going to be stored as a backup to that SD card so that we can just make sure we're not losing any data.
Subu and his team focus on placing the monitors in areas that are most affected by Pittsburgh's industry.
What a lot of people don't realize is that oftentimes it is poor communities that tend to be in higher pollution areas.
Yes.
Because it's more affordable. And so, unfortunately, poorer communities tend to suffer disproportionately the environmental costs of fossil fuel energy creation, of heavy industry, things like that.
Right. And so what we want to do is actually give them the information to allow them to make decisions. For instance, you have two parks on either side of you, and say you have a kid with asthma. You want to go to the one that is less polluted because that is greater likelihood that your kid will not get an asthma attack.
Sure. To relay this information to the public, Subu is currently developing a digital map that will show people how the air quality in their neighborhood has varied over the past 24 hours.
And the idea is you'd have the data that's coming out, then you'd have a plot up what the last 24 hours look like.
So there's two parts to this, really. There's gathering the data and then communicating that in a useful way and an actionable way to the local community.
Exactly.
I love it.
To see exactly how the system works in the field, I joined Subu, his graduate student Rebecca, and one of the techs from Sensever to help them perform an install at a home in Clairton, which is part of the Pittsburgh metropolitan area.
We're interested in Clairton because we're really close to the U.S. Steel Coke Works plant, which is known to be a high emitter of sulfur dioxide.
We attach the system between 6 and 8 feet off the ground, so it's drawing air from around the level that people are breathing. Now, the 5 main sensors are powered by the onboard batteries. The PM 2.5 sensor is powered through an extension cord that's plugged into the house.
So there's a two-way street here. They're giving you support and help by allowing you to mount the sensors in their backyards, and you're empowering them with the kind of information they wouldn't otherwise have access to about the air quality in their community.
Right.
The system will stay at this location for up to a year. And during that time, it'll collect data about 4 times a minute and then transmit that data once every 5 to 10 minutes.
And there we go. It's off, outputting data to the server.
It's live now.
Yeah. Yes.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
The coolest thing about my job is seeing data in real time and discovering a way to actually quantify a problem so people can take action about it. I'm enabling them to do that.
After the break, we explore one of Pennsylvania's most mysterious formations. Here on Xploration, Awesome Planet.
Attention, this.
One of my favorite supplements is Cunol Turmeric. Turmeric helps with healthy joints and inflammation support, and Cunol has the #1 doctor-recommended form of turmeric. Cunol, the brand I trust.
The Americans with Disabilities Act was designed to help the disabled, but increasingly its beneficiaries are predatory lawyers who use technical infractions to extort small and minority-owned businesses. In fact, roughly 40% of all ADA lawsuits happen right here in California. It's killing local economies and jobs. Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse is pushing back, and you can help. Lawyers have powerful friends in Sacramento, but our local communities can win this. Hear the real stories on the Kayla Report podcast and join in the fight at CaliforniaKayla.org.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My boss is the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifleman. Just make it good.
It's really important for Scripps News reporters to live where they are reporting.
You're gonna talk to people from all different backgrounds.
We do stories with people regardless of the political persuasions.
We're coming here as people, as your neighbors.
We know best what's happening in our communities.
And that's why I wake up every morning, is I hope I can deliver folks information so they can make an educated decision.
I'm Forrest Saunders,
Ben Brown,
Jake Burns,
Rachel Louise Just, Alex Miller, Scripps News.
Watch Scripps News, find with an antenna, or on your favorite streaming app.
Why is America paying attention to the race?
Because what happens in this town happens to your town too.
Here on the steps of the U.S. Capitol after a historic...
The decisions made in this house are felt in the heart of yours.
Every night on the race, we take you to the people, the policies, and the political points of impact.
We want to add some context around it tonight.
The Race, weeknights at 6/5 Central on Scripps News. Watch with an antenna or on your favorite streaming app.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow, women like you
like me, are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2?
1% honors you, and 1% honors all womankind.
So come on.
Learn more about the 2% challenge at WeSaySaveIt.org.
Why is America paying attention to the race? Because what takes place on both sides of the aisle here can be seen on both sides of these aisles.
The Race, weeknights at 6 on Scripps News. Watch with an antenna or on your favorite streaming app.
There's gonna be trouble.
Are you silver?
Let's have it. Scared? You the law?
Well, that's right. I'll find you and I'll kill you.
Now all I need is a fresh horse, a saddle, and a gun.
1, 2, 3, hold out! I am proud to be able to be on the first ever HBCU gymnastics team. This is how we'll do it! To be able to show off my talents at a HBCU is very honoring.
Saturday night.
First you moved in, you banned cigar smoke and kitchen nudity.
Oscar Madison.
Just doing my daily yoga.
Felix Unger.
You're not exactly a guy's guy.
Why? Because I use coasters? I'm an accomplished photographer. Perfect, let's start shooting. And I can make a pair of tap shoes talk. What do you say, boys?
Together, they're the odd couple.
Here, hold that.
Oscar, is that coffee? I just cleaned the rug.
Better not move.
The Odd Couple. Saturday starting 7, 6 Central on Laugh More.
Welcome back to Awesome Planet. I'm Philippe Cousteau, and we all know that boulders are big and dense. But in one spot in Pennsylvania, these enormous rocks have quite the ring to them. No, your ears aren't playing a trick on you. Those metallic sounds you're hearing are actually coming from the rocks. This is Ringing Rocks Park in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. It's home to a 7-acre boulder field with a very unusual quality.
Ringing rocks, well, they ring. And they all make different sounds. This one is really good. And this one was okay. But you can hear they're all different. Oh, that one's...
It's pretty odd. And oddly beautiful. In fact, the boulder's tonal range is so great that bands have even held concerts by literally playing the rocks. So why do the rocks ring? Well, nobody knows for sure. Geologists have determined the boulders are made primarily of diabase, which is a volcanic rock with high concentrations of aluminum and iron. But they don't believe this metal content is the source of the sound. Instead, the current theory is that the unique ringing quality comes from the way the boulders broke apart over thousands of years.
They believe it's because when the rain or the snow came down, it goes into the cracks, and when it freezes, it expands. So that's why these guys are all cracked up right now. And they believe that because of maybe the weathering, that's why they ring.
But since there isn't a definitive answer, there's also a few less scientific theories.
They also think it could be aliens. The paranormal stuff comes in. A lot of other creepy things.
Even though we don't know why ringing rocks ring, one thing is certain. There's no other place in Pennsylvania quite like it.
It's just an amazing place to come. When you hit the rocks, you make rock music.
When we come back, we unearth how one company is helping provide a sustainable solution to a major agricultural problem.
Celebrity trials are like no other. You not only have the drama of what's happening inside of the courtroom, there's the drama of who these people are. Paparazzi everywhere, people just hoping to get a glimpse. It's something that we haven't seen anything quite like.
A strong showing for the case against Robert Kelly.
There's this balance between the pizzazz of celebrity and the seriousness of a trial in a courtroom, and Court TV gets to bring you all of it.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My car's the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifle man.
Just make it good.
You got us banned from being room parents? I have never been more in love with you.
Who wants to go nuts for donuts?
Show him your folding trick.
I'm not in the mood for your sheet right now. That's gotta hurt, huh?
You keep me coming back for more.
It's really important for Scripps News reporters to live where they are reporting.
You get to talk to people from all different backgrounds.
We do stories with people regardless of the political persuasions.
We're coming here as people, as your neighbors.
We know best what's happening in our communities.
And that's why I wake up every morning, is I hope I can deliver folks information so they can make an educated decision.
I'm Forrest Saunders.
Ben Brown.
Jake Burns.
Rachel Louise Just. Alex Miller. Scripps News.
Watch Scripps News, find with an antenna, or on your favorite streaming app.
1, 2, 3, I am proud to be able to be on the first ever HBCU gymnastics team. This is how we'll do it! To be able to show off my talents at a HBCU is very honoring.
Why is America paying attention to the race?
Because what happens in this town happens to your town too.
Here on the steps of the U.S. Capitol after a historic...
The decisions made in this house are felt in the heart of yours.
Every night on the race, we take you to the people, the policies, and the political points of impact.
We want to add some context around it tonight.
The Race, weeknights at 6, 5 Central on Scripps News. Watch with an antenna or on your favorite streaming app.
A masked hero, a faithful sidekick, a trusty steed, and a boundless trail of blazing adventure.
So you're the masked man?
I'm afraid so. Coming after you.
Thundering its way into our weekday lineup.
This mask stands for justice. Come on.
The Lone Ranger, Wednesdays on Grit Extra.
We'll be waiting for them.
Television with backbone.
You go get him, Tiger.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a judge. I loved being on the bench. I want viewers to see that, to know what it's like to love being in a courtroom and to love watching what happens in a courtroom.
This is a case where I think you can believe either side based on the evidence being presented.
Here at Court TV, we can show you everything. And I hope at the end of the day, they've learned a little something about what it takes to try a case and why it's so important that it's done well.
Bounce elevates and celebrates the achievements of HBCUs all year long.
From the classroom to the field, we are making history.
Bounce HBCU Yearbook.
Why is America paying attention to the race? Because what takes place on both sides of the aisle here can be seen on both sides of these aisles.
The Race, weeknights at 6 on Scripps News. Watch with an antenna or on your favorite streaming app.
And they do.
Welcome back to Awesome Planet. When we think of farming, most of us picture green and golden rows stretching as far as the eye can see. And while Pennsylvania certainly has its share of fields like these, it's also the country's top producer of a much less visible crop. Around 65% of the mushrooms grown in the entire United States are grown in the state of Pennsylvania. And for one company, providing soil to mushroom farmers leads to more than a simple harvest. Glenn Coate is the general manager of Laurel Valley Farms in Avondale, Pennsylvania. They provide the compost needed to grow mushrooms at 6 of the region's farms.
The mushroom has no ability to make its own food. So what we're doing here is composting a highly nutritious food source for the mushrooms that we want to grow. Each year we buy 40,000 tons of hay and 25,000 tons of straw. We break open the bales, and we have about a 3-week process where we're watering the material up to a certain moisture content. Once we achieve that, we start the blend phase.
During the blend phase, agricultural waste products such as corn cobs and poultry manure are mixed in. This provides bacteria and microorganisms that break down the organic material, resulting in a dramatic spike in temperature. And the creation of carbon, which will become an important food source for the mushrooms.
We're looking for a ratio of about 25 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen. We're actually trying to get the temperature of the compost up to about 160 degrees.
After about 2 weeks, the compost is shipped to farms like the CJ Mushroom Company, where it's loaded into cool, dark buildings known as doubles.
Approximately 4.5 weeks ago, the compost was delivered here and it was filled into these growing beds. We have 24 growing beds in the room.
Since mushrooms are fungi, they develop out of spores instead of seeds. Farmers introduce the spores to the compost, where they spawn and grow by feeding on the rich nutrients.
We pick approximately anywhere between 40,000 to 60,000 pounds a day. After they get to the size of about a dime, when they're growing, they usually double in size in 24 hours.
The mushrooms are harvested in crops called flushes. A commercial operation like this typically yields 3 flushes from 1 batch of compost. After the 3rd flush is harvested, enough nutrients have been depleted that it's no longer considered economical to continue farming with the same compost. This is where Laurel Valley Farms steps back into the process by reclaiming the post-harvest compost.
This is where we bring back all of the compost that we produce initially for our grower members to further compost it for use in the horticultural and nursery trade.
Even though the compost no longer supports efficient mushroom growth, it still has a lot of valuable nutrients. By composting it further, Laurel Valley Farms turns this discarded material into high-grade soil, effectively recycling it. This soil is then used in urban greenscaping projects and urban gardening initiatives, like the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society's Land Care program in Philadelphia.
They take vacant lots and they transform those into gardens for low-income and disadvantaged neighborhoods, which is a great program that we're glad to be a part of. The sustainability is promoted in a lot of different ways with our product. We kind of complete the entire process.
Welcome back to Awesome Planet. We've unearthed extraordinary natural beauty. Just reminds you of the relentless power of nature. And mystifying formations. We've seen how sustainable agricultural practices can transform the landscape, and how applying technology in new and innovative ways can help improve the quality of life for all citizens.
Fundamental aspects to our health are clean air and clean water. It doesn't really get much more important than the information that you're gathering.
Here in Pennsylvania, part of our awesome planet.